Chapter 5. His hugs start feeling like apologies rather than genuine care for me. I expect it's because he's done something wrong, but I don't want to face those thoughts. To do that means I'll have to face the unhappiness I'm feeling underneath. In the thick of trauma. It's New Year's Eve and I'm 8 weeks pregnant. My friends and family are getting together to celebrate the arrival of 2009. I drive Tommy and a carload of our friends, including our flatmate, Rawiri, and my bestie, Sammy, to Kaikoura to stay at our usual family camping spot at Piketah Beach Holiday Park. On arrival, Tommy hangs out his head from the car window, Corona beer bottle in one hand and rap music blaring, to yell, "Choo-hoo!" leaving my conservative mum horrified. We pull up to greet everyone. The camp owner at the time, Digby, promptly escorts us off the premises. It's not because we're drinking, other campers are too, but because only hours before we arrive, the owners had decided not to let under 25 stay. Piling back into the car, I drive these rowdy drunks 130 kilometres an hour, 130 kilometres, almost 2 hours by road, inland from Kaikoura to Hanmer Springs. A group of our friends, including my brothers Jono and Matt, is also holidaying at Hanmer Springs due to the new rules at the Piketah Beach Holiday Park. Earlier that day, the Kaikoura camp owners had kicked out Matt for arguing with another camper in the middle of the night. With at least 30 of our friends nabbing tent spots, there's no room for us at the Hanmer camping ground. We check in at a backpackers, but I can barely afford it. I don't have that much money, I whisper to Tommy at the counter, but he flicks me that I'm about to explode look. The food and rent money goes into our stay, but thankfully it's just one night's accommodation. Tommy doesn't treat me any differently during my pregnancy. Maybe he thinks my baby bump isn't a big deal. Out to have a good time, he's not going to let me stop that. He joins his friends to party into the new year, demanding I stay out with him even though I'm wanting to sleep after driving in the heat all day. It's my good friend Sammy who is with me, but I'm struggling. A recovered alcoholic, it's hard to be around people who are drinking. Not coping with the noise, I take the 5-minute stroll back to the backpackers on my own. It's on the main road and the party is in the centre of the wee town, lit up by Christmas lights and neon bar signs. He watches me leave but carries on partying, although he comes back to check on me before heading back out again. A few months on, things escalate. Leaving the house early morning for work, I receive a panicky phone call from Tommy. "Effing pigs," he snarls. "House is a mess." What the hell are you on about? He's always going on about how much he hates the police, so this is nothing new. "Bloody dawn raid. They came real early. Couldn't stop them coming in," he explains. "They were looking for drugs. Didn't find any though." My heart skips a beat, leaving me wondering what this could mean for my tenancy. We've already been kicked out once. Not again, I hope. "Are you okay?" I ask. "Bastards effed the house. Shit's everywhere." The police find Rawiri's pitiful cannabis pot plant in the hot water cylinder cupboard along the hallway. Tommy tells me they won't be attempting to grow another one now. I suspect it's not the plant they raided the house for. It must be a bad drug deal. Tommy's probably selling someone half a tinny, annoying them enough to him into the cops. Walking into my bedroom with its horrible aqua green walls to find the contents of my dresser scattered all over the floor. The police have tipped the entire house upside down. They don't care about damaging our property, but they do care about protecting the public from drug dealers like Tommy. Tommy, a C-class drug dealer, has enemies and narcs who are itching to tip off police in exchange for a let-off from their own criminal activities. Many people consider this act as honesty, but criminals don't take kindly to this. Considering it funny, Tommy sells an undersized tinny, marijuana in tinfoil, to someone who doesn't shout him a session, so this is the retaliation. It's anything but funny now. Ironically, it's Jared who came to our home to buy drugs on the night Tommy had proposed to me. Tommy's fat stacks from selling ounces are good, but we're far from well off because he's smoking away the profits. "Babe, you're saving so much money doing it this way." "How does that work, Tommy?" I ask. "You're not paying for my tinnies, are you?" "F's sake, is that the priority, is it?" Of course, he says with a laugh. You've got to keep me happy. Grinning, he winks and raises his eyebrows, daring me to raise one back in this cute thing he thinks we've got going on. Stop trying to make me laugh, I say, but the smiling muscles win the wrestle. You know I'm right, he replies, cracking up while blowing smoke out of the wide-open bedroom window. Ugh, I grump, laughing. When Tommy needs drugs, he simply tells me, if I don't have them, babe, I'll effing lose it. I believe him. He puffs away more than most can afford. So it's not just the money that annoys me. It's copping abuse too, regardless of whether he's high or not. I've got no idea about the consequences to me of his bad drug deals. Using my house and car, he puts me at risk. It's too late when I work it out. Like losing $250 in one night in a deal gone wrong. We have to hand over the money in advance. I've got a bad gut feeling this time. Later that night, I'm driving when we pulled up behind the guy who's meant to have the ounce. Don't have it, the guy tells Tommy, after getting out of the car. Don't have your money either. He hops back into his car before Tommy reacts. Effing asshole, Tommy yells, pushing the automatic gear into drive as I push the accelerator pedal down to chase the car. But it's useless as the car disappears into the side streets. Needed that money, I say to Tommy. Shut the F up, not my fault, he hisses, turning to me. I want to stop the car, jump out of it, and disappear into the darkness. I'll make it back. He doesn't, not in time for rent. I ask Dad for a $250 loan. He says no. I never ask him again. In a rush to make the money back, Tom buys a half ounce worth $180 to try to make a quicker profit. He then buys another half to get enough for an ounce again. The second half turns out to be leafy, rubbishy weed that nobody wants to buy. Why didn't you check it? I ask him, wondering how I'll pay the rent next week. Can't argue with the dealer, you know that, he growls. I live in fear of Tommy's unpredictable and explosive reactions to not having weed. Sometimes it's just an angry outburst. Sometimes he punches holes in the walls at home. Other times he sulks. Every time I walk down the hallway, the sight of the holes in the wall leaves me on a knife's edge. Well, it's better than punching the fence, babe. I hate it when he punches the fence. Stop it, I scream, tears streaming down my face at the sight of the skin coming off his bleeding knuckles. For F's sake, please stop. He doesn't seem to feel pain, owing to his blinding rage. Almost anything sets off Tommy. Sometimes I can't distract him from his outbursts. When he's frustrated, he punches me as hard as he can on my arm or leg, never in the face. He's smarter than that. Verbally abusing me aside, if he's not pushing or throwing me around, he's accusing me of cheating on him. We both know who's cheating, but that's Tommy's way of manipulating me to make me feel like I'm losing control. On realising he's hurt me, he wraps me up in his arms and distracts me with sex, like that will fix everything. His hugs start feeling like apologies rather than genuine care for me. I suspect it's because he's done something wrong, but I don't want to face those thoughts. To do that means I'll have to face the unhappiness I'm feeling underneath. But feeling an embrace isn't love. It's misplacing physical touch for mistreatment. By April 2009, I'm still studying at the Open Polytech, but now for a big accounting firm, KPMG New Zealand, which, through acquisition, has bought Lowen Associates. I've got no idea what acquisition means or how significant this is. Surprised colleagues explain KPMG is a global enterprise operating 146 offices out of 195 countries in the world. It's mind-blowing. I have no idea that it'll eventually change the trajectory of my life so significantly, no matter what's going on at my home. I ended up working for KPMG for 7 years, learning heaps during that time and enjoying the privilege of learning from two influential male role models. The managing partners believe in me, even if they see that my life's a mess from the little that they know about me. Having these men see the best in me means the world to me. One day, Arabella, visiting me at home for the first time, sees a hole in the wall as we walk into the house. "What happened there, Lisa?" asks my best friend. She's known me from the time we were 13 and knows me better than anyone. Eyes squinting, she swivels her head to lock in my eyes. I laugh it off. "Is everything okay, Lise?" Paralysed with fear, I can't get the words out. To be honest, I'm scared of what she may think of me. Better a fist in the wall than a punch in my face. I so badly want to tell her, but my pride keeps getting in the way. Confused, she looks at me in disbelief. I feel sick and ashamed. To tell her means to show her how hurt I really am. It's easier to stay silent than to admit I'm afraid. I wish I had been honest with her. Looking back now, I can see that I was still traumatized. Feeling fragile because of an argument with Tommy the night before, I'm afraid to talk about the hole in case I cry. Emotionally, I'm exhausted. I don't know how to answer Arabella's questions, even though it may save me from more abuse. I'm too embarrassed to invite other friends home in case they see the signs of abuse. Those who come over are mainly Tommy's friends or drug-dealing customers, or people who won't bat an eyelid on seeing stuff like this. I'm never having my work friends over. Tommy holds me up against the wall along the hallway one night, after I return home from work. His anger stems from an argument about some girl sending him a text. That money, or his drug use, are other classic argument starters. He grips my throat with his left hand. I say nothing out of fear, not trying to free myself from his grip. Why bother? He knows I can't match his strength. As he clenches his teeth, a growl escapes his lips. I flinch. He roars like a lion. Raising his right arm above his head, he clenches his fist, shaking violently. I've got nowhere to go. Heart pounding against my ribcage, I shut my eyes in anticipation of the impact. It seems like my world's frozen in time. I open my eyes to the sound of plaster breaking on the wall to my left, under the force of his right hand. He screams like a wounded animal, letting go of my neck. Throwing his hands up in the air, he laughs in my face before walking away. He gathers his drugs and leaves home. I've got no idea where he is, but he doesn't return my text messages. He always blames me for that hole in the wall. When people who care about me confront me about what I'm living with, I want to disappear. My voice feels like a whisper of my former self. My confidence vanishes somewhere between the verbal abuse, the tears, and the holes in the walls. It's all a big, chest-tightening, embarrassing blur, yet I still fiercely love Tommy. If I can just take a few minutes each day to tell myself I'm amazing, things may be different. In hindsight, if I had known how powerful it can be to look in the mirror, to tell myself I'm loved, I'm beautiful, and I'm enough, I may not have been lacking confidence. But I don't. So I can't receive the love and care Arabella is trying to give me. When I'm 5 months pregnant, a friend comes over to pick up a tinny he's bought from Tommy. "How are you doing, Lisa?" Dane asks with a caring smile when I answer the door in my dressing gown. Wearing no makeup, I'm unable to hide puffy eyes from crying, but he looks straight past that. Feeling awful because of a recent argument with Tommy, I wasn't keen to answer the door today. "Yeah, not too bad." I sense he genuinely cares about me, so I bank that feeling as one I'll never forget it. "Saw your brothers the other day," he says. "You seen them lately?" "Oh, I see them a wee bit. They go to town with Tommy sometimes, drink too much, you know." We both laugh. Relief is written all over his face when we exchanged a few more smiles. It makes me wonder if he's come to check if I'm all right, rather than buy weed. Not many people do that. Other buyers I greet at the door seldom seem to care how tired or miserable I'm looking. Most of them are young and don't tend to think twice about it. They're happy to hand over $20, take their tinny, and do it all over again the following week. I've known Dane since high school. We remain good friends to this day. I'll never forget this doorstop moment among the other crazy days. His one smile saves me from drowning that day. That's the power of a genuine smile and connection. Never underestimate what a smile can do for someone you care about, or how it can empower someone to get out of a tough situation. His smile stops me in my tracks. Something inside me shifts. A small piece of old me senses it, reminding me that I matter and that someone cares about me, even in the state I'm in. I don't know what the perfect answer is for people checking in on friends they suspect are having domestic abuse issues. What I do know is they should ask about someone's well-being in a safe space. If they ask me how I am when I'm not dealing with trauma, I may have a few answers for them. If they ask me to go for a walk or do something away from my home where I'm subjected to most of my abuse, I may open up more. But then again, I'm fiercely protected of my abuser and have lost sight of who I can trust. It's hard, but it's worth trying to talk to someone. For those trying to help someone in an abusive relationship, be patient in trying to bring a person's walls down. Making no sense or laughing off your concern doesn't necessarily mean they want you to stop asking. Please keep checking on them. Create the space and place for them to open up. Keep persevering. Trust is everything. They'll reach out when they need to. That's when your hard work will pay off. The love that Tommy follows up with helps fill the holes in the walls, covering the bad moments. Tommy showers me with jokes until I laugh. He picks me up and hugs me so tight I think I'll break. That breaks my momentary sadness. He sees my smile, thinking everything's okay with us. Tommy has so much energy and love to give. His abundant love for his mum makes me think that underneath that rough exterior is a good human. He's a good person, but he's made a lot of bad choices. Many of them leave me in physical and emotional pain. I love the Tommy who makes me laugh, but not the one who makes me cry. It takes me a while to figure out I don't want both Tommys. His behaviour is becoming more and more erratic, sweeping my life away with it. I'm doing things I've never done before, like driving in pitch darkness to buy drugs because the dealers want us to come late at night, away from the public eye and unwanted attention. The fear of police pulling up my car or turning up at my doorstep at random is mounting. An ounce of weed lives almost constantly in my glove box, not to mention the drug paraphernalia in the boot. I always have Tommy's back, driving him anywhere he wants to go, anytime. Saying no to him isn't an option. One night we give a guy we don't know from a bar of soap $700 to buy 2 ounces. It's quite normal and almost a weekly occurrence. You give money in the hope the person returns with half-decent weed that you may or may not make a profit from. It's a way of living I've never experienced before. I come across so many different people I've never met. People are always looking at each other with suspicion. Nobody trusts anyone. What's familiar and consistent is that most houses have holes on the walls. Things like homemade weed pipes and bongs are lying around on coffee tables in plain sight. Often, 2 knives are sitting on stovetop oven rings ready to be used for smoking dots with visitors. It's chaos to me, but it's their normal. This night, Tommy buys crap weed. Needing the money, I know his sales won't be enough to make it back. That it's too leafy and dry, so his buyers won't be happy and will want more quality in the tinny. Buy another ounce, babe, and I'll make that money back, Tommy says. I won't smoke much this time. The next ounce will be better. I swear you say that every time and it never happens. It doesn't make sense, but that's the sort of mentality I'm having to live with. Tommy's money-back guarantee falls flat. He smokes more of the ounce because you stressed me out. Here I am, pregnant at 21, the only one working and supporting Tommy's out-of-control addiction. His supply is never reliable, but he just won't admit it. He starts picking fights with strangers for no reason. One day I'm driving Tommy and his mates in my car when they ask me to pull over. Just off Ferry Road, which is one of the busiest intersections in the east of Christchurch. They want to fight with the motorist and his passengers following us. My guess is Tommy's mates have been abusing them out of the car window. They do things like this for a laugh. The problem is the guys in the car behind us aren't laughing. I stay in the driver's seat as Tommy and his boys confront the other men. The 2 groups throw a few punches before one of the bigger guys walks towards me and kicks in my driver's door. I say nothing. He takes one look at my face and walks away. Not one car pulls up to break up the fight. This is my life now. I didn't grow up with the need to always be living on the edge like Tommy does. He loves taking risks and the insane adrenaline rush from it all. I go along for the ride, but not as a comfortable passenger. Now that I'm heavily pregnant with his son, Tommy is blatantly unfaithful to me. One day, while I'm at work, he takes my car to Ruapuna Raceway with his friend Noddy and some girls. On the way home, a policeman pulls him over. I suspect he's been showing off to the girls, speeding in my car after watching the professional drivers at the track. However, Because he has no driver's license and is disqualified from driving, the police impound my car. It cost me more than $300 for them to release my car, the price I pay for Tommy's stupidity and reckless behaviour. The visit to the Central Police Station is embarrassing. With my workplace just around the corner, I'm hoping no one sees me walk in there. The plan is to pop in and out during my lunch break. "You still with this guy?" a police officer at the station asks after sensing my anxiety. Because of Tommy's constant damning of the cops, whenever he sees them, it makes me nervous to be at the station. He's always telling me about the many times the police officers have beaten him up with phone books after locking him in the cells overnight following an arrest. "Do yourself a favour and get out of this relationship," the senior sergeant tells me. "Yeah, I'm all good," I say, my youth and stubbornness taking over. Uncomfortable, I can't wait to exit the station. After all I've seen and know about Tommy, I'm still with him. I've got so many reasons to leave, but I'm not going. My life feels like a snowball hurtling downhill, growing bigger at every turn and out of control. Drunk, Tommy parties late without me, with other girls. Friends send me text messages letting me know where he is and what he's up to. "Tommy's at Rockpool with a random girl," one texts. "He's gone into the bathroom with some blonde girl," Rawiri sends. My friends mean well, but I'm falling deeper into depression because I don't know how to fix the problem. Tommy asks me to drop him off at the pubs. As soon as he's out of the car, girls rush up to flirt with him in front of me. Girls love his charisma. He moves like a peacock, his ego smeared all over the dance floor. One night, Matt drives Tommy and Sammy home, crashing his car into my front fence. It's the funniest thing Tommy and his mates have seen in ages. How I cope with the insanity of all this is beyond me. Another evening, I go to Matt's flat to give Tommy a piece of my mind for drinking there instead of spending some time at home. Jono and a few of my guy mates are there too. I'm sure they only let him drink with them because of me. They're my brothers and mates, not his. It feels like he's trying to mess with my head on a whole other level. "You lying prick," I holler. "You told me you were going to your mum's place and then coming home." "F off," he yells, barely looking at me and screwing up his face. Hopping back into my car in horror, I head home. From there, I send him a text message. "Going to get a vodka cruiser. My favourite, blueberry," I text. Pregnant, I've got no intentions of drinking the 5% alcohol premix. I just want Tommy to realise how angry and upset I am, but Tommy loses it. "Get the F back here now," he texts back. Wanting to get back at him, I return. The pregnancy is giving me renewed strength, letting my fierce nature re-emerge for now. "Calm down, you effing psycho," he lets rip in front of everyone. "Nobody wants to listen to your shit." With 3 boxes of double brown beers stacked on top of each other, he whips out a can from one of them to crack it open in front of me in defiance, mindful I can't drink to calm myself down like he can. I wish I can smash a vodka right now, but I choose to be sober. "What are you doing at my brother's house anyway?" I ask, glaring at him. Tommy revs off in Rawiri's car as I tailgate him. Staring in the rearview mirror at me, he gives me the fingers, looking as white as a ghost. It's a shitstorm. Where most men are at home with their pregnant partners, mine's out drinking and doing drugs. It's the sort of stuff you see in the movies. He can't believe it. Neither can I. Am I losing my mind? Barely keeping down food and drink, I hate my horrible pregnancy. One day my work puts on a morning tea of bacon and egg pies, my favourite. I get stuck into one of them, knowing too well I can't keep it down. I'm not convinced my sickness is purely down to my pregnancy. The growing fear and anxiety of wondering what's going to happen when I return home has a lot to do with that. The scale of crazy escalates. I've got no idea what to do. End of chapter 5.